Hello, my name is Douglas Robinson. I am a solutions consultant with Beyond20, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing some of the new modifier functions that are available in Cherwell version 9.1.0. In this video we'll be focusing on the Encode Text modifier, which I will be demonstrating using an example business object I've built for collecting and modifying text. So I have two fields on this business object, and I am going to create a one-step for modifying data in one field and representing it in the other. So once I create a update a business object action, I can fill in one of my fields with the value of the other, and I can place one of our new modifiers on it and start talking about that. So the modifier we're going to be working with in this video is called Encode Text. It's available whenever you're working with a text data type, so not when you're working with a number or one of the other data types such as JSON or XML content or a logical value, and it shows up between ellipse text and first word. Now there are a couple of other new modifiers that we will cover in separate videos, which would be the #mactext and #text functions. In this video we'll be strictly dealing with encode text. Now when you select the encode text modifier, you have an encoding option where you have four additional options that you can select. The first one by default is going to be base 64. Now base 64 encoding is primarily used for converting text into a format that is mostly made up of just A to Z, 1 through 9, and other non-special characters. And it's very useful for submitting data over web service requests or other formats where you don't want to be concerned about having to escape special characters that might break the syntax that you're sending data in. So this is a very useful function, especially within Cherwell, because it's something that a lot of users have been asking for quite a while. So we can use this now when we send out web service requests or when we're working with data outside of Cherwell that needs to be in a certain format that can't have any special characters. So without much more ado, I will go ahead and click OK here. Just a minor note, we do also have the option to specify that we're decoding this text if we've already got base 64 encoded text. So I'll go ahead and click this here. And so now I have a one-step that will take the contents of field 1 and encode them into base 64 format in field 2. So now I've got some text, and if I run this one step, we can see the equivalent in field 2. Now, decoding this text from base 64 format is just as simple as encoding it. We'll simply create a update a business object action because here we're working with a business object. Of course, you can do the same thing with modifiers of any sort, or with variables or stored values that you're working with. So it doesn't have to be explicitly data that's stored on a business object. And here we're going to set field 1 to the value of field 2 with a modifier for encode text. As base 64, we'll mark decode. And so now if I go ahead and clear out field 1, all I've got is my base 64 encoded text. And when I run my decode one step, I get back the original text that I had. Now, some other fancy modifiers that we have that can be quite useful, especially when we're sending data through web service calls within Cherwell, is going to be the \quote and \line feed or CRLF modifiers, and there's also a \double quote, I believe. So here, just like I did before, I'm going to be updating a field. So we're going to update field 2 with the value of field 1. We'll be placing a encode text. And here our first option, aside from base 64, is \CRLF. And again, we can either encode or decode data based on this. So here we'll have an encode. And what we're going to do here, when we run this, is I'm going to have some text here, and I'm going to insert some line breaks. And I'll just repeat the same text again. And what this does when we run this one step is it takes our line feeds and it replaces them with /r/n. And then, again, just as simple to decode this, we can run a one step that has the same updated business object action. But with the decode option checked. So here, in reverse order, I'm going to set field 1 to the value of field 2 with a modifier of encode text \CRLF. I'm going to mark decode, and I'll go ahead and clear out my text from field 1 so we know that it's actually getting written. And then this one step is going to take the text that has a /r/n in it, and we'll insert line feeds as needed. Now this can be a really useful feature throughout Cherwell if you've got certain places that you want to have line feeds in but that don't actually accept line feeds, so you could store some data in certain areas of Cherwell that don't normally allow you to put line breaks into them if that's something that you need to do. It's an idea there, but it's mostly going to be useful for you when you're doing certain types of web service calls. For example, if you have JSON data that you need to send out through a web service call and you need to insert line breaks into that data, well, you would use these modifiers to encode that data into this /r/n, and then the source on the other side would extract that data into line breaks. And you can do the same thing for data coming in from any number of sources, is just take /r/n and create line feeds within text using these modifiers. So our next example is going to be the \quote. So here we'll be taking field 2 and we'll be giving it a value from field 1 of encode text \quote. So if I replace these double quotes here with normal quotes, and run this one step, we should see them with a backslash before them. Oh, looks like something did not happen. So it looks like the \quote is actually going to be putting a backslash behind any quotes that you have here with the little double quote symbol. And then the double quote operator for the encode text modifier is actually going to take any quotes that you have and turn them into two sets of quotes right next to each other, as in some instances that would be how you escape a quote, would be to have two of them next to each other, depending on what the syntax is that you're using this in. So here we'll put in the double quote as our one-step name, and then I'm going to have an updated business object action. I'm going to change field 2 to the value of field 1 with a encode text modifier, where I will select double quote. And so what this is going to do is it's going to take those quotes right there, it's going to turn them into two quotes right next to each other. So now we can see there are now two. So that is all for the Encode Text modifier that has been added. We will have some separate videos created for the hash text and hash mac text modifiers. If you'd like to see more on this, or if you have any questions, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/beyond20llc. You can leave any comments, questions, or feedback in the comment section below this video, and you may also find us on Twitter at Beyond20.